Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddha Jnanaika Murtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In answer to Nachiketa's third boon as a question, Yeyam prete vichikitsa manushye asti tyeke nayam asti iti chaike. Question simply at that stage, when he asks the question, it looks like the question of a person beginning this quest, a novice. All he wants to know is, I've been hearing from different people that when the body falls, is there something after that? Astiti ya nasti? Many times you find children asking this question because if there's a death in the family, for example, maybe many children will ask the parents. I had my grandfather, I was speaking to him regularly. Where is he now? Where is he gone? What's he doing? Children want to know what happens. And then we could tell them all kind of stories, assuming that they will not understand. So one could assume that Nachiketa was also in the same kind of quest, saying, what is this? What happens after death? Now, if you look at every religion, in some form, they tell you there is something more after the fall of the body. Every religion does that. The difference is in terms of what there is, what is the nature of that, where does it go, what happens to it afterwards, what is that it? And the assumption in almost all cases is the same individual. The I that I had assumed I to be, that I goes somewhere. The people want to know, where does it go? What happens to it? Every religion has some kind of an answer.
Recording in progress.
But this answer is often unsatisfactory. In fact, almost every one of them, the answer is unsatisfactory. Because that is an area of knowledge which you can neither prove nor disprove. If any religion says that you, and then they call it soul, for want of a better word, go to either purgatory or to heaven. or equivalent words. In one, you suffer indefinitely. In the other, you enjoy indefinitely. How you enjoy also they define sometimes. Sometimes it's quite illogical definition, but that's how they define it. And we have to accept it for what they say. If I'm a follower of the religion, I'm told to accept it. That's why it's called a faith. You accept what the religious preacher says as his or her interpretation of whatever religious text they follow. And sometimes you can't even justify it. There was a philosopher called Bertrand Russell back in the early 1900s, I think 1920, etc. He wrote a whole series of essays based on his talks. And this compiled into a book called Why I'm Not a Christian. And a lot of arguments he gives on that. One of the main thrusts of the argument is, if you tell me that after my death of the body, I will go somewhere. I will go either to hell, purgatory, or I go to heaven. And I go to hell because I've done something that you told me not to do. I did not follow the commandments. But then you tell me that I will go there and stay there permanently. That means I'm going to be suffering forever. Now, irrespective of how bad my conduct has been, irrespective of the crime according to you that I've committed, this punishment seems totally disproportionate. And that is not acceptable. That's one of his bulk of his argument, saying why therefore I'm not a Christian. However, the point is that every religion tells you that there is an existence after the fall of the body. But no religion, including many of our own darshanas, Hindu darshanas. They call darshanas because as far as I am concerned, the points of view. Talk about something similar. You merge with Ishvara. You are an amsha of Ishvara, like a spark of fire. You have the same properties of that of the original. You merge into that. But in all this merging, they don't lose the individuality. Many of them. And then that raises a lot of other questions. Mainly because the whole concept of God, Ishvara, is not really understood. We will see this in the next few mantras. Yamadharma is going to touch upon all this. If you understand that, if you understand the idea of Ishvara, call it God, call it whatever you want to call it in whichever language, it doesn't matter. Then there's no confusion. Then there is no doubt. That is why Bhagavan in the Gita also says, no. Then in that particular verse, Manushyanam sahasreshu kashchit yatati siddhaye yatatanam siddhanam kashchit mam veti tatvatah. They understand me as Ishvara. If you understand me as Ishvara, you're home. Everything is over. That is the fundamental problem. Because that understanding of Ishvara, there is only one Ishvara, only one I, only that I is Ishvara, that I is Brahman, Om, whatever you want to call it. Nachiketa is still in that stage of his evolution where he is asking this question. Asti eke, nayam astiti cha eke. Now, if you try and remember the kind of questions you had, I had, when we started this quest, today many of you have been working on this for a number of years. And try and see what is the type of question I was asking myself at that time. What is the question that came to my mind at that time? And what is the question that is there in my mind now? Huge difference. Now, in the case of Nachiketa, between that verse in the last Valli, and from the time Yamadharma Raja said, okay, you are worthy of it, I will teach you, to now in the 14th verse of the second Valli, he has evolved. He has evolved so much to be able to ask the right question. Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita asks the same question over and over again, in different ways. Sannyasa, Karma Yoga, tell me for sure, which one should I follow? All through he does that. He didn't mature as easily. Here, Nachiketa being a character in Upanishad, as many of these Shishyas in Upanishad happen to be, he is a highly evolved thinker. So within the space of these few mantras, his perspective has changed. And it is not that Yamadharma Raja already taught him a lot of things. He hasn't taught him many things. He has only been talking about adhikaritvam, why it is so important to have the adhikaritvam, what is this jnanam, what is the beauty and benefit of this jnanam, why is it important to have a guru, why is it important to follow this tradition, and praising Nachiketa on all these fronts, except for the last couple of mantras, where he made things even more difficult by saying this is Gudam, very difficult. Even though you have everything, it is still very difficult. It's not easy to grasp. All that he kept saying. And Nachiketa was listening and interpreting them in his own way. So now, when after Yamadharma Raja has come to this point of saying, these are the requirements of a guru, of conditions, of removing all the obstacles in the way, of getting adhikaritvam, all of that. Then he said, you're ready now. The gates are open for you. I'm not sure whether Nachiketa was asking in frustration, saying, listen, I've been waiting all this time. You're not telling me the answer to my question. Or he was expressing his understanding, his development of understanding by rephrasing his question. From simple saying, Asti Teke and I am Asti Teke, please tell me for sure. So now he says, and we will read this. Etat Shrutva Nachiketa Punaraha.
एतत् चित्वा नचिकेता पुनराह.
What is Nachiketa? It means Etat Shrutva. Having heard all this, all that Yamadharma has said about all of those things that are required for gaining this knowledge, and this is only knowledge, and that is not easy knowledge, etc., etc. Anyatra dharman anyatra dharmat. Anyatra
dharmat,
Anyatra dharman anyatra dharmat. Let's break it. Anyatra dharmat
Anyatra dharmat,
anyatra adharmat
anyatra adharmat,
anyatra smatmat anyasmat kritat
anyasmat kritat kritat,
anyatra smat kritat
anyatra smat kritat kritat,
anyatra asmat kritat anyatra bhutascha bhavyascha
anyatra bhuta cha bhavya cha,
yat tat pashyasi tat vada.
yatat pashyasi tat.
I found it interesting that Nachiketa should use the Madhyama Purusha to address Yamadharmaraja. Yamadharmaraja is accepted as a teacher, as his guru. And yet he addresses him as Yattat Pashyasi. He doesn't say Pashyati. You know, in every language we have, in Hindi, for example, we have tu, tum, and aap. 3 different levels of addressing somebody. Ni and Ningal, I suppose, and there is one more intermediate thing will be there. In Tamil, in every language, we have different levels of addressing people. Here, Yamadharmaraja is his guru. He is accepted as guru, and the guru is accepted as a shishya. Him is addressing as Yat Tat Pashyasi, Madhyama Purusha. In English, second person. You. English doesn't have this distinction. English, you only, whether it is we want to respectfully address somebody or if you want to address familiarly, it is you. But other languages, particularly Sanskrit, has this distinction. Nachiketa doesn't make the distinction. He says you. I suppose it is equal to tum. तुम जो तुमको दिखता है वो मेरे को बताओ, जो तुम जानते हो वो मुझे बताओ. यत् तत् पश्यति तद् वद. Tell me what you know. I have not seen any commentator commenting on this, but I found it strange that if you address Yamadharmaraja with the Madhyama Purusha, yat tat pashyasi, yat tat pashyasi tad vada. What you see, what you understand, what you know, please tell me. About what? That is the main question. About what is he asking Yamadharmaraja to tell him? Anyatra dharmat, anyatra adharmat. That which transcends dharma and adharma. Look at this question, look at the depth of understanding. Dharma and adharma are punya and papa. Punya and papa will produce what? Punya phala or papa phala. All of them belong to what? Only samsara. Punya is done in the samsara, papa is done in the samsara. If you do punya, one might go to Svargaloka, but that's also samsara. One might experience the karma phala of punya, samsara. One might experience the karma phala of the papa, samsara. Is there something beyond this punya papa? Anyatra dharmat, anyatra adharmat. Anyatra dharmat, anyatra dharmat, anyatra dharmat. What is there which transcends dharma, dharma? Not only dharma, dharma, not only punya papa. He says, Anyatra asmat krita kritat. Krita, akrita. Kritat and akritat. So it's one single word, krita, kritat. It's a samasa, dvandva samasa. Krita cha, akritat cha. What is krita? That which is done, which is created, that which is produced. Therefore, karya. And akritat is that was not produced, which is this very hetu, which is the karanam for whatever is produced. Therefore, when you say Jagat is created, both the sentient and insentient parts of the Jagat, it's all karya. But what happens with karya is constantly changing. Every produced vastu is constantly changing, whether it's physical or non-physical, constantly changing. Eventually, it becomes unmanifest. That unmanifest condition, therefore, you have all these famous questions, which came first, the seed of the tree. It becomes unmanifest, comes up again goes through all the changes, becomes unmanifest. Unmanifest is also not constant, because unmanifest also becomes manifest. But the karana, karya, prakriya we have studied. That is how we start the whole study by saying this whole jagat is karya. That from which this whole jagat has come, that which sustains the whole jagat, and into which the whole jagat reverts back at the end of that period allotted to that. Karana Karya Prakriya. Is there something beyond that? Is there something? How does the Karya Karana itself work? What do they depend on? Is there an adhisthana for them? Of both the Karana and Karya. That's why when you start studying, we take Karana and Karya to explain the Jagat and to explain Ishvara at one level. And then we negate everything. There is no Karana, there is no Karya. So what is there? Only Brahman. Ekamava Aditya Brahman. But to get to that level, we have to go through the whole prakriya of Karana Karya. We superimpose everything on that Brahman. Therefore, we have to assume that there is a Karana and then there is Karya. What is the Karana? Like a clay, which is the Karana for all clay products. The pots and the jugs and the lids and everything else. All of which are Kritat, created. In this limited universe, clay is Akrita. Is there something different from this Krita and Akrita? Akritat and Kritat, Panchami. Different from. What is different from Karana and Karya? Now, we can read through all this. So, Anyatrasmat Krita Krita. Kritacha Akritacha. What is different? What is other than? So three things he said. One is he said that which is different from dharma and adharma, punya papa. One which transcends karana and karya. Then he takes the third element. Anyatra bhutascha bhavyascha. That which is different from the past. It is not in the past. It is not in the future. Bhavyascha. Then there's one more chakara then. Bhavyacha. Anyatra bhutacha. Anyatra bhavyacha. Also, Vartaman Shat api, it's not anything to do with now also, because now Vartamana is present. Present tense, past tense, and future tense, all of them make us tense. They are not, because they are part of the same Jagat. That which is not contained by past, present, or future. It doesn't say that, but Bhashyakara will talk about it, saying that which is atita, that which transcends the whole idea of time. Trikala atita. So he's covered all three elements. No punya papa, therefore no karma and karma phala. No karana karya. And no past, present, future. If you look at some of these Atharvashish Upanishad, for example, we pray to Lord Ganesha saying that we pray to you as one which is Kalatraya Atitaha, Trikala Atitaha, which transcends time, which transcends physical distances. All of them it transcends. That which transcends all this, I want to know. Therefore, he says, that which satisfies these three conditions, whatever you know about that, please tell me. What a beautiful way of phrasing that question. And so different from the very elementary question of saying, is there something after death? Not so elementary, not easy to understand. But this is clearly the question of a person who has gone way beyond that. Tat yat tat pashyasi tat vadaya. Please, here pashyati means what? Not just what you see. That's literal translation. What you know about this. What I want to know is this knowledge of that which transcends time, that which transcends vastu, that which transcends space, that which transcends all karma, that which cannot be got by doing karma. All that is covered here. So he is asked this question, which Bhashyakara expands a little bit for our understanding. We will read the Bhashyam. Okay. There is a sentence here in my text which is not there in that. So I'm going to read from here. Just see if it's there before the mantra itself. There. Yadyaham yogyah
यद्यहं
यद्यहं
योग्यः
योग्यः
prasannaschasi
प्रसन्नश्चासि
bhagavan mam prati.
भगवन् मां
मां
प्रति
प्रति
Oh, Yanchiketa is saying, all this time you've been praising me, saying that I'm ready for this knowledge and that you will teach me. Yadi aham yogyah. If you think I am ready, I'm an adhikari, I am prepared to receive this knowledge and assimilate this knowledge. And prasannaschasi, mam prati, hey Bhagavan. Bhagavan is, that's why I said I found it interesting. He is addressing with Bhagavan. And yet he says, prasannaschasi, asi, madhyama purusha. Hey Bhagavan, if you are pleased with me, mam prati prasannaha chasi. If you're pleased with me and if you think I'm ready, then, which you already expressed, you've already said that you are ready and the gates are open. Then what? Can go down. Sorry. Anyatra dharmat,
अन्यत्र
धर्मात्
धर्मात्
sastriyat,
शास्त्रीयात्
dharma anushtanat,
धर्मानुष्ठानात्
phalat,
फलात्
फलात्
tatkarakebhyascha,
तत्कार्यकेभ्यश्च
यश्च
bhutam,
पृथग्भूतम्
ityarthaha.
इत्यर्थः
For the first one, he is taking dharma. Anyatra dharmat. That which is not covered by, not contained by dharma. He doesn't even take dharma. He takes adharma. He takes only dharma. Anyatra dharmat. What is dharmat? Bhashyakara explains. Shastriyat. Anyatra dharmat. Shastriyat here meaning that the karma that is dictated by Shastra. Punya karma. Dharma anushtanat. That which is got by following dharma. All of them in Panchami. So he's going to say different from. That which is Shastriya, dharma, or that, all of that, or karma. Various actions, here in this case, punya karma. Now, punya karma will produce punya karma phala. So that which is different from the karma and also the karma phala. Tat karma phala. And you know that in every karma that you do, there are a lot of other factors that are involved that are called karikas. So you have a karma which is prescribed, an action to be done, represented by the dhatu with its own modifications. That karma implies a lot of questions. We did some analysis in one of the earlier mantras. Who is the agent? Who does the karma? Karta. In the Vibhakti list, we would say this is the Prathama. Kisne kiya? Karta ne. Prathama ne. Who did it? That karta, the agent did it. Whatever the karma is. So then next will be to what? किसको किया? So if you have a simple sentence like Rama called Lakshmana. So Rama is the Karta who did the action of calling. Who did he call? Lakshmana. Accusative case. Second Karaka. And then if you have to say, with what did he do the karma? This doesn't quite fit in this sentence, but I'm going to deliberately force fit it. Using a loud hailer. He caught them using a loud hailer. With what karana? With what instrument? Tritiya, karana. Why? What did he want? For whose benefit did he call? Let us say, take another sentence where it's more easy, because all these karakas all of them need not come. Only one or more can come. But at least one will be there. Karta has to be there. Otherwise, there is no karma. You do a puja. For whose benefit? Chaturthi. In Hindi, it's very easy. Prathama ne, Karta ne, Dvitiya ko, Tritiya se, with that instrument. Chaturthi ke liye, what the benefit of the fourth for somebody. And if that karma involves moving away from something, that also in Hindi will be say, Panchami say, the karma of falling of a fruit from the tree, where the fruit is separated from the tree and falls down. Panchami. Here also we have a lot of Panchamis. What is different from Dharmat? Trustee is not a Karaka. Actually, it's a Sambandha. And if the location for that, you get locative case also, Saptami. These are all Karakas. So every action has at least one or more Karakas attached to it for sure. So he says, Dharma anushtat tat phalat, the result of that, and tat karakebhyascha. Whatever karaka is associated with it, that also. That which is different from the karma phala, and the karakas associated with the karma. Pritak bhutam, which is separate from, which is different from. He wants to know what it is that has nothing to do with karma phala, karaka, etc. Not only for dharma karya, punya karya, also for papa karya. Tatha anyatra adharmat. So even the same logic applies for papa karma. Anyatra adharmat. What is it that is different from any karma? Papa karma, punya karma belong to the samsara. Tatha anyatra asmat. Kritam karyam. Akritam karanam. Anyatra. So that which is Pritag, different from asmat krita kritat. Kritam means karyam. That which is done, produced, created. So Acharya says kritam equal to karyam, product. And the cause of that product is akritam. In the Jagat, we know many examples where something is a kritam, is a karyam, because of something else which we call karana, but that karana also becomes karyam for something else. If fabric is a karyam of the yarn, it is karyam for that fabric, but it is karanam for that fabric, but it becomes karyam for the fiber. Like that, in everything in the Jagat, you can break it down. But that which is different from karyam and karanam. Therefore, kritam karyam, akritam karanam, asmad anyatra. What is it that is different from these? Kincha. Further, not only here, his question is very comprehensive. Anyat, kincha anyatra bhutat.
Anyatra bhutat.
Anyatra
Those are all and. Atikrantat kalat.
Atikrantat kalat.
Bhavyascha.
Bhavyascha.
Vitascha.
Bhavishyascha.
Tata vartamanat.
Tatha vartamanat.
Vartamanat is implied in the mantra. Anyatra bhutascha bhavyascha. Acharya makes it more explicit. There is no past without a present. There is no future without a present. And there is no present. That's a very complex situation. There is no past without a present. Because the past that we have today is yesterday's present. And there's no future without the present, because tomorrow's future is today's present. So there is no, but present, what is present? What is the definition of present? Do you call this year present? Or this month present? Or this day present? Or this hour present? This second present? This microsecond present? What is it? It's an interval. Really, if you keep on analyzing it, there is no such thing as now. And if there is no such thing as now, there is no such thing as the past and no such thing as the future. But without this understanding, without getting into the complexity of it, we have to live, because that's how we live in this Jagat. But if you really go into it, you can realize that time is not absolute. Same thing with space. A three-dimensional space is a collection of two-dimensional spaces. A two-dimensional space is a collection of one-dimensional lines. A one-dimensional line is a collection of dimensionless dots. When you say dimensionless, means it's non-existent. Therefore, the entire Jagat that we know, the physical Jagat, which we think are three-dimensional, is based on the non-dimensional dot. Past, present, future, all this We can only look at it from the point of view of the Jagat. But if one were to raise oneself and looked at it from Paramarthika perspective, there is no past, there is no present, there is no future. There is no here, there is no there. There is no inside, there is no outside. It's just a matter of perspective. For purposes of transacting in this Jagat, we accept all this. So he says, Kincha anyatra bhutascha.
Anyatra
Anyatra
bhutascha.
You already read that. Bhutascha is, he explains, atikrantat kalat, that which is already gone past. Atikrantat kalat. We have all Panchami. Similarly, bhavyatcha, that which is the future. All within this perspective only. Remember. Bhavishyatascha.
Bhavishya
Bhavishya is future. You know, sometimes Acharya uses one word to explain another word. And sometimes I find that he uses more complex word to explain what is probably a simpler word. Bhavyascha is bhavishyatascha. But he also adds tatha vartamanat. Also
Tatha Vartamanat.
that which is prutak, that which is not bound by any of these. And he explains in the next sentence, Kalatrayena
Kalatrayena.
yanna parichidyate,
Yanna parichidyate.
that which is not contained by, limited by aparichinna. That we have already defined elsewhere as Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinna Atma. Now he may or may not know these details, but he's already figured this out. That which is Kalatrayena Yat Na Parichidyate. It cannot be limited by time. Time is a karya. That is why we say that which is different from Bhuta, Bhavya, Vartamana, and then we say Trikala Atitaha, Atitaha. That which transcends time. Therefore, Acharya says, Kalatrayena yat na yanna parichidyate. Not bound by, limited by. That vastu, Atma, I want to know the reality of. Yat
Yat
idrisham vastu
idrisham
Idrisham
vastu.
Vastu.
sarva vyavahara gochara atitam.
Sarva
Vyavahara
Sarva vyavahara gochara atitam. He doesn't say agocharam. It is gochara atitam. Gochara is all these vyavahara gocharam, the locus of all the actions. Idrisham vastu, vastu like this, which satisfies all that I'm asking for, which is also gochara atitam, not available for any senses, any instruments we have. Yat pashyasi, janasi, that you see, that you know, that you understand. Yat pashyasi,
pashyasi.
janasi,
Janasi.
tat vada mahyam.
Mahyam.
Mahyam is to me. Please tell me that which you know about this vastu, which is Desha Kala Vastu Avachinna Atma. There's a comment by the Tikakara. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it says, Yadi Deha Vyatiriktasya Atmanaha Prathamam Prishtasya Paramartha Swarupa Jnanameva Shreya Sadhanam Tarhi Tadeva Bruhi. Tell me about that sadhanam, is the Shreya sadhanam. For what? Paramartha Swarupa Jnanam Eva. And how is it? Yadyaham Yogya. If you consider me ready for it. So after hearing Yamadharmaraja talking about this Jnanam and this Vastu, he has now raised this question. Very interestingly, even when some such direct questions are asked, no guru gives a direct answer because it's virtually impossible to grasp. You know, when he first asked, Asti Teke Nayam Asti Chaike, please tell me, he could simply have said, yes, the answer to that is yes, it is there. And that I also know. That is not the answer. So you notice he didn't immediately tell him that. He went through a whole process of teaching. Here again, he will do the same thing. The question is very clear, especially when you read the Bashyam. The question is very clear. But Yamadharmaraja immediately does not reply directly to the question. We will look at what he says in answer to this very elaborate and very well-phrased question of Nachiketa. We'll do that in the class tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om